Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Aqeedah class. Today, inshallah, we will talk about the issue of takfir, calling someone kafir. We already started with this last week, and now we are continuing. Today, we will start with one important issue, which is the difference between the indefinite kufr and the specific kafir. What do we mean by this? When we say this action is kufr, and when we say this person is kafir, there is a huge difference. That's what we mean by the indefinite kufr and the specific kafir. Sometimes people do some actions which are considered kufr. But does that mean this person, this individual, is kafir? No. Why? If we say this action is kufr, whoever did it is kafir, then what about this person himself? Does he become kafir by doing this action? That's the meaning of the difference between the indefinite kufr and the specific kafir. You could say, whoever said Allah is three is kafir. There is no argument about it. Whoever said Allah is three is kafir. Yet, if someone said Allah is three, and you came and you said this person in particular is kafir, there is difference. To apply the ruling of the general verdict, a kafir, kufr on someone, there is difference. That's what we mean by the difference between kufr and kafir. Do you understand this? Do you get the difference? People who did not differentiate, they considered everyone, every single one is kafir. Every single one. Whatever you do, as long as this is considered kufr, then you are kafir. We have to differentiate because it is really important. Doing an act of kufr does not make you automatically a kafir. Is this clear? This is a very important point. Look what Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah says. It is not to anyone to say about any Muslim he is kafir, even if he erred or made a mistake. Now again, even if what he did is kufr, and we know it is kufr, it is not to anyone to say about any Muslim he is kafir until the evidence is established against him. So to accuse a person in particular, you have to establish the evidence against him. For whoever was Muslim with certainty does not become a kafir with suspicion. Let's say someone said La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. He is a Muslim. He prays. Then we saw him hanging a cross. Now hanging a cross is kufr or not? It is kufr. But does that mean this person automatically is kafir? We don't know. There are conditions and there are preventions. We have to look at them. So that's very important. Yarhamkumullah. We already mentioned that there are conditions that have to be applied in order to call someone a kafir. Or can you call anyone who did anything of kufr a kafir? What do you think? Why not? If we say this is kufr, then why not everyone who did it is kafir? Every single one. Yes. Okay, the person, he did it. Yes, he did it.
He didn't know that it's kafir.
Okay, so you're telling me there are exceptions. And that's what we are trying to do. To find out and to see what are these exceptions. Because it is very important. First, there are conditions. In order to tell someone specifically he is kafir, you have to fulfill the conditions. What are these conditions? Number one, the evidence. What do you mean by the evidence? You need to establish the evidence that this action is kufr. What's your evidence? What's your proof? It has to be mentioned whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said whoever did it is kafir, or the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said whoever did it is kafir, or whoever did it, his actions are null or his deeds are null. Any evidence necessitates that this action is kufr. Otherwise, everyone will claim this is kufr, that's kufr. You have to have the evidence that this action which was done by this individual is really kufr. This is the first condition. The second condition, the identification. What do we mean by that? The identification of the ruling on the person himself. That this person has done this action that you're talking about. Because maybe I agree with you, this action is kufr, that's true. But this person, he did not do it. You are saying whoever did this thing is kufr, is kafir. But that individual, he did not do that thing. He did another thing. So you have to prove to me first that this action is really kufr. Second, that this person did that action which is kufr. Let's say we proved that. We proved that. The person, it was proven that he really did it. Is he kafir now? Let's take an example. Allah says in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ. Indeed, those who say Allah is the Messiah are kuffar. Now, what does that mean? Whoever said Jesus is God is what? He is kafir. Now, is this an evidence or not? So, these are two conditions. Are they applied on the person who said Jesus is God? They are applied. Can we say he is kafir? Why? These conditions are applied.
Yes, but he might be forced.
Okay, so there are other things which we call preventions. All of them should not exist. Any one of them, if it was existed from these preventions, the person cannot be called kafir. So yes, you may be able to establish the evidence. You may be able to fulfill the conditions. But now you need another thing, to check on the preventions that prevents you from calling someone a kafir. What are these preventions? And how many they are? We have 4 types of things that prevent you from calling anyone kafir. So this tells you it is really important and it is a serious issue when you call someone a kafir. First, you have to establish the evidence, to apply this evidence on that person, and then you have to check on all these preventions, the 4. The first excuse from kufr is ignorance. Someone said something which is kufr, but he did not know that it is kufr. Is that an excuse? Is that an excuse? Yes or no? If you now go and steal, won't they punish you? If you said, I don't know, would they tell you it's not our business? What do you think? Yes?
Ignorance isn't like, you have to, it starts when you know your deen, so obviously,
It is an obligatory to know your deen.
yeah.
So,
If, kufr is something really big, and that will take you out of your deen, so it's mandatory that you know what makes you kufr.
so ignorance is not an excuse.
It is an excuse.
Some people don't know though, because they don't have enough of this on any of them.
So what do you tell those people who don't have the message of
Yeah, Muslims in general. That was
Muslims? Okay, what about Muslims?
like that's completely on them, it's completely on Muslims,
But he did not know.
Some Muslims don't know. They don't even have a real Quran in front of them.
Yeah. Do you believe that there are Muslims who don't even, there are Muslims who used to think that the mandatory prayers is only 3? Do you believe that? What's the ruling on this?
They're not held accountable until they do them.
What do you think? Do you agree with this? Yes?
Brother Hisham says they're not accountable unless they're taught, so teach them first.
But here is the thing. If you say they are not accountable until they learn, we have to teach them first. Isn't that the excuse of everybody? That I did not know?
No, because if you, like, there's lectures going on, and if you have that available to you, you can go learn it. But there's areas where there aren't scholars, where there aren't books, people can't read, and those people, they don't have it available to them. And for that, they're not.
So if there are ignorant people, are they excused?
They're truly ignorant.
What do you think?
It's just like bid'ah, like, even if you have good intentions to do something for the sake of Allah, if it's not conformed to the sunnah,
So it is like bid'ah. If you have good intention, that's not enough.
yeah.
Yeah, but what's the difference between bid'ah and here?
This is going to take you out of Islam, so it's even,
So it's even worse.
yeah.
How do you answer those who say ignorance is an excuse? Now we need evidences. Now we are just trying to rationalize it. You need evidence.
Ignorance is an excuse.
What's the proof? What's the proof?
Allah
Because,
didn't send
on
the
the-
messenger to every nation, either was
Mm.
Allah what? Oh, that's oh.
No, it's in the Quran that he
وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ نَذِيرًا. And we have certainly sent in every nation a messenger. What you mouth? You cannot say Allah did not send
But
to
what
it.
if, like, where they were, they didn't
Yeah.
get that guidance? Like, people didn't reach out to them.
There will be people on
Give
the
me a
judgment.
proof. Now she gave a good,
There will be people on the day of judgment who will have to be tested.
will have to be tested.
Right? Because they will claim that the message did not reach them.
Okay, so there is a hadith says that there will be people will be tested on the day of judgment. And if they will be tested, this is because they did not reach, the message did not reach them. And that means they were excused because of ignorance. What do you say?
Well, that's the exception, but I mean,
That's the exception. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about exception, the ignorance.
but I mean, that for the masses, that's generally not the case. For most of us who, you know.
Well, it doesn't matter. We're not like specifying it is for 10 people, 20 people. Is it an excuse or not? Ignorance.
It is an excuse.
What's the evidence? Now he mentioned the hadith. Let's see. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. And we never punish until we have sent a messenger. What does that tell you? If there is no messenger, is there punishment? There is no punishment, right? That's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unlike the secular laws, unlike any, it is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He doesn't punish you until you get the message. Let's say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the messengers, right? He sent the message. But this message did not reach me. Isn't it the same? What do you think? Isn't it the same? The messenger was sent, but the message did not reach me.
I think we're under ignorance.
So it is the same. We will see. Scholars say whoever lived in a land away from any sort of knowledge and did not know about Islam, then he is what? Why he is excused?
Because he had no knowledge of it.
But again, we already mentioned, shouldn't he know?
So,
Isn't it obligatory on you to know?
Somebody needs to teach you. Like, what if
Here's the thing. Now when we say he should know, but how? That's the question. He has no means to know. That's the best he could do. He never reached, he never could learn. Even if he had a tool to learn, yet he learned something wrong. Isn't that an excuse? Let's say, yes, there is a way to seek knowledge. And you asked people, and that's all what they told you. And they told you, this is the most knowledgeable person. So you went to him, and he gave you the wrong information. Isn't that an excuse? If you say no, then what do you expect from this man to do more? What do you want him to do? To have inspiration? You see, that's what Allah says. وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. In order for you to be punished, in order for you to be judged fairly, you should tell me first. I did not know. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish the disbelievers? After they knew that they disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How you will punish me if I did not disobey? I did not know. Is this clear? Is this clear? Now this applies also to Muslim. How? What? There are ignorant Muslims. Someone became Muslim. He's 5 hours Muslim. And he was drinking alcohol. Not only that, he said alcohol is halal. And one of the zealous people came and he said, you are kafir. You are Muslim and you are saying alcohol is halal, you are kafir. What do you think? Exactly. So even the recent Muslims, they may have some ignorance. Even the as I told you, there are examples in some countries where they did not have any access to any correct knowledge. That's all what they got. Do you say that they are kuffar? So there is an excuse of ignorance. Do you agree or not? So it's really important every time you want to accuse someone to go back a little bit and check. Is it ignorant? Is this person ignorant or not? Is the reason is ignorance? Even nowadays, in our time, imagine someone lived here in America. For all his life, he was taught that this is Islam. Islam is the religion of terrorism. Muhammad is terrorist. So and so. And he asked, he wanted to learn. He did not only listen. He wanted to learn. And they gave him books. He went and asked people. Not even that. He went to some Muslims. And he asked them, does the religion approve killing people? And they said, yes, they deserve it. And so what do you think? If this happened, isn't this person excused or not? If you say no, then what do you expect from him? What do you want him to do more? Is this exception clear? Ignorance is an excuse. The evidence is the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. That's justice. You want to punish me first? Tell me. You cannot tell me that's wrong before you tell me what's correct and what's wrong. How do I know it is wrong? The other evidence that ignorance is an excuse. The hadith of the Messenger ﷺ, and this is in Sahih Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ told the companions, amongst the people preceding your age, there was a man whom Allah had given a lot of money. While he was in his deathbed, he called his sons and he said, what type of father have I been to you? They replied, you have been a good father. He said, I have never done a single good deed. So when I die, burn me, crush my body, and scatter the resulting ashes on a windy day. Not only on a regular day, but on a windy day. Why he said that? And his sons did accordingly. But Allah gathered his particles and asked him, what made you do so? He replied, fear of you. So Allah bestowed His mercy upon him, which means He forgave him. Now why He told His sons to burn him, to crush him, and then to scatter his ashes? Yes? He feared Allah. But if he feared Allah, why should he scatter his body?
But he could, if he did that, if he wouldn't do
Exactly. That's the thing. He thought if he did this, what will happen? He will not be resurrected. Now, if someone came and said, I won't be resurrected, what do we call this action? Kufr. Whoever denied resurrection is what? He's kafir. What about this person? If you say he's kafir, then how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him? Why Allah forgave this man? Yes. Exactly. That's the reason. He was ignorant. He did not know that no matter whatever he does, Allah will gather him. So it is really important to check on the first reason of the exceptions before we accuse someone. But again, here is the thing. What if people always say, I mean, even on the Day of Judgment, people will come and say, we did not know. We could not hear. But Allah will not accept from them. If someone came and said, no, I don't agree that ignorance is an excuse, because they had to know. Otherwise, everyone would say, I did not know. Now, what do you think those people, all the disbelievers on the Day of Judgment, will say? Oh yeah, we knew and we disbelieved in you, oh Allah, and we did that on purpose. Would they say this? Of course they will say we were ignorant, but would it be accepted from them? So, help me out here. What do you say? Ignorance is an excuse or not?
It's an excuse, but it has conditions.
Like what?
Like, if you truly, the only knowledge that you have, and you go to the most knowledgeable in your area, and you see.
Okay, you said if you're truly ignorant. How do you differentiate if you are truly ignorant or you are not?
Allah is merciful, He knows better than us.
Allah is just, He knows better, but we need to know
We
also.
will judge by what is presented to us.
By what is presented.
And if
Yes.
we cannot prove it otherwise, then after we take it for face value. That is. Someone claimed that they're ignorant.
Someone claimed.
We cannot prove otherwise.
Mhm.
We have to accept that they're
Hmm.
ignorant. Allah knows best.
Yes.
If someone lived in Houston their entire life and they claimed ignorance, we would be like, okay, there was so much knowledge, there was so much to learn, there was so much to go to. But
So, is it according to the areas? Houston,
Not area,
America.
But like, if of where they live around, there's people of knowledge. There are like events going on that will teach you. There are people that are willing to teach you, and you don't take that step to go learn from them.
Mhm.
Then you are placing yourself in ignorance, and you're susceptible to get punished for that
Because you did not take
because
the.
you did
This
not
is
take
not a
that
various
step.
type of something like
Okay, so you're telling me now, if you are
location.
able, but you did not, then you are not ignorant.
You are accountable for your ignorance.
Okay, yes.
But this is Harry says there's a difference between genuine ignorance and willful ignorance.
Genuine and willful ignorance. Good. Now, how we differentiate between the genuine and the willful?
Genuine is where the knowledge was not available.
Genuine means knowledge was not available. You tried and you did not get it.
Willful, it's available and you did not avail
Exactly. Willful is available, but you did not take it. Okay, here is what we say. Any ignorance that could be lifted by the responsible person, al-mukallaf, is not an excuse. Now, that's how we judge people. Or that's how they will be judged. We don't judge people, Allah will judge them. Were you able to lift this ignorance or not? If someone closed his eyes, or someone is deaf, and he said, I want to be deaf, and he was able to hear, is that an excuse? Is that ignorance? No, he had to. He was able to, but he did not. That's how we differentiate. Any knowledge that could be, or any ignorance that could be lifted by the individual, then it's not an excuse. You are responsible for it. That's the fine line. Okay, let's say that's proven. This person is ignorant. What will happen? He will go to Jannah? He was excused? Or no, still, yes, I understand, I'm sorry, but I cannot help you. You will go to hellfire. He will be tested? How? Do you have evidence? Prophet ﷺ on the day of judgment.
That Allah would ask them to walk in the fire. And if they walk
And if they walk?
into the fire, then after they were genuinely ignorant. And if they hesitated, then after they knew.
No, see, once they are ignorant, that means they are true. Truly, they were ignorant. If they were lying, then they will be taken already to hellfire. You had something?
No, I was wondering, like, when we were talking about if we were calling somebody kafir and then we found out that they claimed ignorance based on that, what do we do?
No, what will happen to them? What will happen to those people?
On the day of judgment?
Yeah.
Oh, what he said.
What? Do you have a proof for that?
The hadith where, like, if they didn't have any knowledge of Islam or whatever religion was at that time, then they're tested by Allah.
There is a hadith, and this hadith in Musnad of Imam Ahmad, it is authentic. You need to know, is there an evidence or not? What does this hadith say? The Prophet ﷺ says, 4 people on the day of judgment. 4 types of people. Deaf, insane, old man, and the person died in the period time. What's the period time? The period is the time between 2 messengers, where the first message disappeared and the second message did not come yet. So basically there is no message. Those 4 people, what will happen to them? The deaf would say, "O Lord, Islam came and I did not hear anything." The insane would say, "Oh Lord, Islam came and kids threw pebbles on me," means they ridicule me, because he did not have any sanity. He was crazy person. The old man would say, "Oh Lord, Islam came and I did not understand anything." The one who died in the period would say, "Oh Lord, no messenger came to me from you." So what will happen? So they give Allah a covenant to obey Him. They will be tested. Why? Because truly they were ignorant. They cannot be punished. I mean, someone is crazy. He doesn't have sane mind. Yet you tell him you have to pray, you have to fast. And he doesn't. Can you say he is kafir? He's insane. So they give Allah a covenant to obey Him. Then Allah sends to them to enter hellfire. That's the test. The Messenger ﷺ says, "By him in whose hands Muhammad is," if they entered it, it would be peace and cool. So that's the test for them on the day of judgment. This hadith first tells us that there are people who are excused by ignorance. Second, it shows us what types of people. Those people did not have any means to learn, to have knowledge. But nowadays, if someone came and said, "I am deaf," would that be an excuse? Why not?
That's sign language.
Exactly. There are many other alternatives. Yet, maybe, for a reason or another, if he was truly ignorant, he may be excused. But we cannot say, based on this hadith, every deaf is what? Is ignorant. We cannot say that. Why? Because you can see. You can talk. What about the blind? The same thing. Yes, you cannot see anything, but you can hear. But what about the crazy? There is no way. Or the old man who doesn't have the same thing. Or the person of the period. What's an example in our time for those people? Those who live in the jungles in Africa, in Amazons, they don't have religion and they don't know of anything. Are there people like that? Yes, there are. Maybe not a lot, but there are people like that. And it doesn't have to be there. Maybe they are living in a place where there is only one source of knowledge, whatever the government approves for you to know. They don't have internet, they don't have books, all what they have is this. And that's all what he was raised on. How will you expect from him to learn? So he could be excused. Now, it's not our job. Who will judge them? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The point here is to tell you that there is an excuse called the excuse of ignorance, which is very important. Again, but remember the rule, any knowledge that could be acquired and the person did not know it, then it's not an excuse. However, scholars also say there is a difference between someone who grew up in a place where he could learn about Islam, yet he didn't, and someone who did not know anything about Islam and grew up in an underdeveloped place. There is also a difference between the clear issues, which are principles of Islam, and the unclear or subtle issues. Someone came now, he prays in the masjid, he listens to the khutbah every Jum'ah, and he knows what is halal and what is haram. He came once and said, riba is halal. What do you call this person? Is that kufr or not? It is kufr. But what if he was ignorant? That's not an excuse. Why? Because you know. But the same thing, someone came and he said, riba is halal. But he may be a new Muslim. That's an excuse. So there is difference. People are different. So that tells you, not anyone who said the same word gets the same ruling. And that's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll stop here inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.